Hi everyone, it's James here. Welcome back to the channel. And I'm going to do another CD update. I did one a while ago, probably about 6 weeks ago, and did quite well. People seem to like it, so I thought I'd do another one. Yes, I have started buying compact discs again. It was a habit I did kick for a while when I got Spotify. In fact, the whole reason I got Spotify was to stop myself buying CDs, but it's creeping back up again. We've lost our HMV now again here in Lancaster, which makes it easier to avoid buying them. So I've been buying a fair few online, couple in Oxfam, I think. This one just arrived. I'll show this first. This is the one that's just arrived by Carrier Pigeon. This is the Peter Gabriel album. This edition comes with some kind of obi. This is I.O., which is his latest album. I'd streamed this already when it first came out, because it came out last year, didn't it? And I enjoyed it. It didn't knock me out, but I did actually enjoy it. And then I went into HMV to pick up a copy, and it was, I think they had it down there on sale for £20, and I just didn't want to spend £20 on a compact disc, so I left it there in the end. And then I went back and streamed it again a while later and thought, actually, I do quite enjoy this record, so I'm going to finally buy it. That really annoying thing though. I mean, this album has got two different mixes. There's a is it a bright mix and a dark mix? Anyway, it is a good record. It's just, you know, Peter Gabriel. I mean, he was such a forward-thinking artist back in the day, and if you put this album on now, I mean, really, it could have come from maybe perhaps not the late 80s, but it could have come from the early to mid 90s. I don't think he's moved on hugely in his sound manipulations. Everything sounds quite sort of early to mid 90s, but I don't mind that. I don't like the sound of modern music, so it kind of suits me that he's kind of ploughing that old furrow. Whether he would agree that he's doing that or not, I don't know. But anyway, I thought I'd get it in the end. Peter Gabriel, I've been following his work for, you know, years and years, so I thought, why not? Okay, so let's whiz through some other stuff. Oh, before I do, I really wanted to show really quickly a book that I picked up recently. Picked this book up from, I think it was eBay. This is Hell Ain't No Bad Place to Be by Richard Bunton. I bought this book, or it was bought for me, on a holiday in Bude in Cornwall back in probably about 1982. I was on holiday there with my parents, and I just got into AC/DC. I'd gone up to high school a couple of years before and I really got into them. And then we found this book in a shop, and I just read it and read it and read it on that holiday for 2 weeks. There's some great pictures. It's a really good little concise history of the band with some really nice illustrations. It's Bon Scott there, God's Gift to Women. And it might have been the first music book actually I ever read, but the problem with it is that it fell to pieces. It's one of these books where the spine, you know, the pages are glued in quite badly, and after a while my copy just fell to bits. And for years I've been trying to track down a cheap copy of it. I've seen it around, but always a bit pricey. Anyway, I finally found a nice cheap copy of it, so I bought it again. The thing is, when it arrived, I sat down and opened it, and I thought, actually, I don't really need to read this, because I read it cover to cover 1,000,000 times back in the day. So all the pictures, all the text is absolutely emblazoned in my memory, in my brain. But even so, it's nice to have it, and I'm going to take care of it this time. The trick is not to open the spine too wide, but anyway, yeah, I thought I'd quickly show that anyway. AC/DC, Hell Ain't No Bad Place to Be by Richard Bunton. Anyway, back to the CDs. I'm going to show two that were sent to me as a gift by Gavaxemanspins from the West Midlands. Check his channel out if you haven't already. Great chap. He sent me a couple of things, because I'd said to him, I'd mentioned in a comment somewhere that I didn't have anything by Ozzy Osbourne, so he sent me, I put it into one of these slipcases. He sent me an EP. This is Ozzy, Just Say Ozzy. It's a live EP featuring Ozzy Osbourne, Geezer Butler, Zakk Wylde and Randy Castillo, the drummer. I used to actually have a Randy Castillo drum instruction video back in the day. I think he's dead now, isn't he? So that was good fun. Got a couple of Black Sabbath classics on here, Sweet Leaf and War Pigs, and then some Ozzy stuff which I didn't know, so that's nice to have. Thank you, Gav. And then this one was just completely out of the blue. I wasn't expecting this at all. This is a special edition of the Velvet Underground's fourth album, Loaded. It's the fully loaded edition, which essentially has 2 discs. There's a disc of demos and rarities, and a couple of the versions of the songs on the main disc are extended. So a really good thing to have is there's loads and loads of history, loads of good info in the booklet, and this CD actually sounds tremendous. It really does sound great. I think this is my favourite Velvet's album. This and the third one maybe tie in first place, but it's nice to hear the demo versions, alternative versions. I think there's some stuff that was originally released on the Peel Slowly in C box set, which I never actually bought. So yeah, really nice thing to receive in the post from Gav. Complete surprise. Thanks very much, mate. Much appreciated. Right, let's whiz through the ones I've got left to show. These are in no particular order, I don't think. This one did come from HMV before it closed. I decided to pick this up. This is Alice Coltrane, 2 different albums. Huntington Ashram Monastery, which I hadn't heard of, and then World Galaxy, which is the one I had heard of, and I've seen various people show that. It's that one there. So Alice Coltrane, obviously the wife of John Coltrane, had a long recording career. She was a harp player, also a pianist as well. These records are both quite trancey, quite meditative. A great pair of albums, really good sort of, winter's night music, autumn evening music. It's been keeping me company. Jazz, really, essentially, spiritual jazz from the great, late Alice Coltrane. So that was the final CD I picked up in HMV before it closed. Right, a couple of Beatles connected ones. I picked up finally this, which is the All Things Must Pass remaster, not the remix, the remaster, which came out, I don't know when. It came out quite a few years ago, and for some reason I never picked it up. I picked up the more recent one, which actually is a remix, where they despectified it. So this is not a despectified version, de-Phil-spectified, but it is a bit crisper. And it is, obviously I don't need to talk too much about the album, because it's a classic album, but the artwork is updated in colour, and there's quite an amusing photograph there, where they've blended a flyover into George's nice garden, obviously a kind of ecological protest kind of photograph. Some nice pictures in the booklet. The only problem with this release, which is really annoying, is that they've split the album really strangely. Rather than just having sides 1, 2, 3 and 4 all nicely put together, they kind of interrupt it. So on CD 1 goes up to the end of the first disc of the record, run of the mill, and then they put a load of additional tracks on the end. I don't think they did that when they did the remix. I think they made everything nicely sequenced, so you could just kind of sit down and listen to the record properly. Anyway, I'm carping. It sounds good. I'm pleased to get it into the collection at last. George Harrison, All Things Must Pass. And then this one, an album which I totally missed out on when it first came out back in the day. Again, I don't remember when it came out, but I finally picked up the stripped down version of Double Fantasy, the last album John did in his lifetime. This was done by I think it was done by Jack Douglas, the original producer, in conjunction with Yoko Ono, and they just went in essentially and stripped away a lot of the overproduction which that album had. A lot of the backing vocals, some of the other production touches have been stripped away. It sounds really good. It's actually quite, it is quite stripped down. You hear John counting in the mic. There's quite a lot of freewheeling improvisatory stuff at the mic that he does. You can hear him talking to the other musicians. Some of the takes just, fall apart at the end. It's really interesting. You hear, it's more like being a fly on the wall in the studio. A really interesting release. A couple of times I thought it was almost too stripped down. There were a couple of tracks where I thought maybe they'd left off too much. For example, on Clean Up Time, they'd left off the horns, which give that track a really great downtown New York kind of vibe, and I actually missed them. So there are a few songs where they actually missed some stuff, which I thought maybe they should have left that on. But that's all very subjective, obviously. The artwork, I think, is by Sean Lennon. Sketch version of the original record. So that was nice to pick up at last. Yeah, Double Fantasy, stripped down. Good to get that into the collection. I picked up, thank you to Sam, Americana Sam, who talked about this record, Brian Wilson, That Lucky Old Son, which is a solo record he put out in 2006 maybe. I'd just missed it completely. I hadn't heard of it, I don't think, but it's a really nice album. It's very enjoyable, it's very upbeat, really good songs, just very, very nice, pleasant, summery, a bit middle of the road, you know, but I mean, it's kind of late period Brian Wilson, but a very enjoyable record. That will be one to dig out in the summer, I think, next summer. So thanks, Sam, for that. And then I also picked this up. I picked up finally Brian Wilson Presents Smile, which I had heard, I'd streamed it a couple of years ago. I decided not to get it because I'm just so fond of that really strange album, Smiley Smile, which came out back in the 90s, I think, which was sort of just the tatty ends, you know, the kind of bits and pieces of the record that he managed to record back in the 60s. Obviously, this is the record that drove him around the bend, and he wasn't able to finish it. And I always loved that strange fragmentary version of it, and I didn't really want to hear it done properly, but I finally decided to, you know, get it, and it is really good. It does hang together nicely. A very vocal album, you know, lots and lots of harmonies. It's very lush. It's very, very together. I mean, Brian does some great singing on it, and I sort of winced very slightly because obviously he's re-recorded the song Surf's Up, which to me is the most perfect record ever made, and I don't think the re-recorded version of it is quite as good as the original. Some of the high harmonies are missing, but apart from that, I was pleased to get it. So that was that. This one actually, no, this was online. I picked this up because I thought I had it already, and it turned out I didn't, and really just in the wake of Ozzy Osbourne passing away, I thought I would finally pick up a copy of Sabotage by Sabbath, which I think maybe is their 5th album, I think. It's probably the most proggy, heavy one. It's the one that's got a choir on the end of it, isn't it? The last track, or the second to last track. The last track maybe has got a choir on it, and there's orchestrations on here, and it was definitely Sabbath reaching for the proggy elements of their musical identity, but a really strong album. It's got some cracking stuff on it. Hole in the Sky, Symptom of the Universe, Megalomania, you know, really, really good stuff. So I would love to find that on record. Don't hold out too much hope. This was a bit of a surprise purchase. I picked up the new record by Suede. I almost said Slade then, Suede, who were a band that I was never that into really back in the 90s. I didn't mind them, but I never really bought their records, but I streamed this one. My friend Sean Whelan, SW Studio Productions, had been to see them. So I got this from HMV actually online because they were doing a signed version of it. So there's the boys' signatures there. I think it's a really strong album. Sounds quite post-punky. The band that it really, really strongly reminds me of actually is Magazine. But I really enjoyed it. I need to give it a few more listens. Yeah, I thought, why not? It was only, I think it was a tenner from HMV, so I thought I would get that. And then this is the Go-Betweens, Australian band, and 16 Lovers Lane, which is their classic album. I've known about these guys for years and years. Really hard to find their records in the wild, either on CD or on record, but this is an absolutely classic album, absolutely brilliant. I must get some more of their stuff, but this was just an online purchase. Sort of melancholy indie rock. Doesn't really do it justice, really, that description, but yeah, great album, The Go-Betweens and 16 Lovers Lane. And the final one, just a cheap and cheerful one, I picked this up from Oxfam, actually, during my lunch break one day. I've been trying to collect Kirsty MacColl on either CD or vinyl for many years, but her stuff doesn't often pop up in the wild. This is Tropical Brainstorm, which I think was her 5th album, and it's one she made in the wake of a trip she'd made to Cuba. And all the tracks have a bit of a Cuban vibe to them. In fact, there are some tracks which have Spanish lyrics, I think. There were some Spanish song titles on here. Got me bopping around the kitchen a little bit. Nice, happy record. Again, I'm picking up these records which are probably quite summery, even though we're about to descend into the depths of winter. But anyway, it is what it is. So there we go. Got through it all. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the selection, and I'll be back soon. Bye for now.